Richie McCaw. Richie McCaw's name is spoken with a mix of respect, admiration, and sometimes fear in the world of rugby. He wasn't just the captain of the All Blacks, he was the engine, the shield, and the calm heartbeat of one of the most successful teams in sporting history. From the time he debuted against Ireland in 2001, he was consistent, relentless, and focused. Over the next 14 years, McCaw set new standards for what it meant to play open side flanker, a position that requires bravery, intelligence, and the ability to make split-second decisions in the middle of complete chaos. He played 148 test matches, which at the time of his retirement was a world record. Out of those, he captained the All Blacks in 110 of them. That alone is a huge achievement. But what made him even more impressive was that under his leadership, New Zealand won 110 test matches and lost only 15. That winning rate has never been matched by any other player, as McCaw knew how to turn pressure into opportunity and setbacks into lessons. He was also a master of staying on the right side of the rules, pushing every limit, especially at the breakdown, without giving away too many penalties. It frustrated opponents but thrilled New Zealand fans. His leadership went beyond just calling the shots. He was also known for his intense preparation. Teammates said he trained harder than anyone else and never asked others to do something he wouldn't do himself. He didn't shout or boast, he just did the work. One of his most legendary efforts came during the 2011 Rugby World Cup. McCaw played most of the tournament with a broken bone in his foot. While many would have sat out, he stayed on the field and led New Zealand to a narrow but historic 8-7 win over France in the final. 4 years later, he came back for one last run and guided the All Blacks to another World Cup title, beating Australia 34-17 in the final. This made New Zealand the first team ever to win back-to-back World Cups and the first to win 3 titles in total. He ended his international career with 131 test wins, more than any other player in history. He was named World Rugby Player of the Year 3 times, a record he shares only with Dan Carter. Even opponents often admitted that playing against McCaw was one of the hardest tasks in rugby. Richie McCaw is not just remembered as one of the best, he is remembered as the standard that others still chase. Dan Carter. Dan Carter's greatness didn't rely on power or raw speed. It was built on vision, balance, timing, and control. He had one of the most complete skill sets the game has ever seen, a left-footed magician who could pass, kick, run, and read the game like few others. He was the general behind many of New Zealand's most dominant performances during their golden era. From the moment he made his debut in 2003 against Wales, he showed that he had both the talent and the temperament to take over the All Blacks number 10 jersey. That's no easy task in a country where rugby is a religion and fly half is the high priest. Carter's true breakout came in 2005 during the second test against the British and Irish Lions in Wellington. That day he scored 33 points and completely outplayed the Lions. Many still consider it the greatest performance ever by a fly half in international rugby. He was everywhere, scoring tries, converting from all angles, and dictating the flow of the match like a maestro with a baton. That performance earned him his first World Rugby Player of the Year award. But Carter didn't stop there. He kept evolving his game and continued to dominate for the next decade. Injuries, however, tested his journey. The most painful blow came during the 2011 Rugby World Cup. Carter, expected to lead New Zealand to glory on home soil, suffered a groin injury and was ruled out before the knockout stages. For someone of his caliber, it was heartbreaking, but he never let that setback define him. Instead, he worked even harder. And when the 2015 World Cup came around, Carter was ready. He played a crucial role throughout the tournament and saved his best for last. In the final against Australia, he was flawless. He nailed a crucial drop goal, added a penalty from halfway, and calmly kicked his conversions. New Zealand won the final, and Carter was named man of the match. It was the perfect way to say goodbye to Test rugby. Outside of international duty, Carter starred in Super Rugby with the Crusaders. He helped them win multiple titles and was a key part of their long-standing success. Later in his career, he played for Racing 92 in France, where he won the top 14 and also had a brief but influential spell in Japan. Carter ended his Test career with 1,598 points, still the most ever in international rugby. Jonah Lomu didn't just play rugby, he changed it forever. When he exploded onto the scene at the 1995 Rugby World Cup in South Africa, the world had never seen anything like him. At 6'5" and 125 kilograms, he had the size of a lock and the speed of a sprinter. That rare combination of power and pace made him nearly unstoppable. In that tournament alone, Lomu scored 7 tries, including 4 in the semi-final against England. He ran through defenders like they were traffic cones and stunned everyone watching. Lomu became the sport's first true global superstar. Before him, rugby was popular in a few countries. After him, kids around the world were picking up rugby balls and pretending to be Jonah. His impact even went beyond the field. He was featured in video games, appeared in advertisements, and became a household name, even in countries where rugby wasn't a big deal. In a sport filled with physical battles, Lomu brought an unmatched level of excitement and fear. Over his career, Lomu scored 37 tries in 63 tests. He played in both the 1995 and 1999 World Cups and was the top try scorer in both. What made him even more remarkable was that he did all this while battling a serious kidney disorder. At times he was playing while on dialysis, and eventually he needed a transplant. Yet even with his health challenges, he remained one of the most feared wingers on the planet. Though he never won a Rugby World Cup, Lomu's influence on the sport is undeniable. Players like Bryan Habana and Julian Savea have openly said they were inspired by watching Jonah. He redefined what a winger could be. Before Lomu, wingers were small and fast. After Lomu, coaches started looking for big, powerful runners who could break the line and score from anywhere. Lomu retired from international rugby in 2002 and sadly passed away in 2015 at just 40 years old, but his highlight reels still circulate to this day. Fans who saw him live will never forget the roar of the crowd when he got the ball. Jonah Lomu wasn't just a player, he was a moment in history, one that took rugby to places it had never been before. Jonny Wilkinson is one of the most respected players in the history of rugby union. Known for his pinpoint kicking, mental strength, and relentless dedication to improvement, Wilkinson gave everything he had every time he stepped onto the pitch. He represented England 91 times between 1998 and 2011, and during that period he scored a total of 1,179 points. However, it was on the biggest stage of all where Wilkinson truly cemented his legacy. At the 2003 Rugby World Cup, he played a key role in guiding England to their first and only World Cup title. In the final against Australia, played in Sydney, the game went into extra time, tied at 17-17. With less than a minute remaining, Wilkinson received a pass from Matt Dawson and, using his weaker right foot, slotted a perfect drop goal to win the match. That moment instantly became one of the most iconic in rugby history. He ended that tournament with 113 points and currently holds the record for the most points ever scored at Rugby World Cups, with 277. His consistency, even under intense pressure, made him one of the most reliable players to ever wear the white shirt of England. Wilkinson was known not only for his kicking accuracy, but also for his discipline in defence. He tackled like a back row forward and spent hours working on his technique. Injuries plagued much of his career, especially between 2004 and 2007, but he never gave up. He fought back from multiple serious setbacks, including shoulder, groin, and knee injuries, always returning to perform at the highest level. Later in his career, Wilkinson moved to Toulon in France. There he helped the club win back-to-back Heineken Cups in 2013 and 2014 and a top 14 title, proving he could dominate not just in international rugby but also in the club scene abroad. He retired after the 2014 season as a true legend of the game. For his service to sport, he was appointed Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2015. Simply put, Wilkinson was the complete package. His preparation was unmatched, his focus razor sharp, and his influence on English rugby still echoes today. He remains a role model for players worldwide. David Campese. David Campese is widely considered one of the most entertaining players rugby has ever seen. Playing as a winger and sometimes fullback, Campese earned 101 caps for Australia between 1982 and 1996 and scored 64 international tries, a world record at the time of his retirement. His style of play was daring, unpredictable, and always thrilling to watch. What truly set Campese apart was his ability to break a game open with one touch of the ball. He brought flair to the field in a way few others ever have. His trademark move, the goose step, confused defenders and excited fans. With a sudden stutter in his stride, he could leave opponents completely off balance before accelerating past them. This flashy move became his signature, and it's still taught and mimicked today in coaching sessions across the world. Campese's boldness made him stand out, and he never shied away from taking risks. He played in 3 Rugby World Cups and was a key figure in Australia's victory in 1991. During that tournament, he delivered one of his finest performances in the semi-final against New Zealand. He scored 1 try and set up another with a brilliant behind-the-back pass, helping the Wallabies secure a place in the final. Australia went on to beat England at Twickenham to lift the trophy, with Campese's contributions being vital throughout the campaign. Campese was not just a try scorer, he was a game changer. He could read the game, create space, and bring others into play with incredible vision. While he sometimes faced criticism for being too flashy or risky, his style helped change the way the wing position was viewed. Wingers were no longer just finishers. Thanks to Campese, they became playmakers. Over the years, his excellence has been widely recognised. He was inducted into both the Sport Australia Hall of Fame and the World Rugby Hall of Fame. Legendary commentator Bill McLaren even included him in his all-time greatest 15. Some still rank him among the top 3 rugby players of all time. Regardless of the era, Campese would stand out. His blend of speed, skill and creativity remains unmatched. Simply put, he was one of a kind and helped redefine what it meant to be a rugby star. Bryan O'Driscoll. Bryan O'Driscoll is Ireland's most celebrated rugby union player. He earned 133 caps for Ireland and a further 8 for the British and Irish Lions, making him one of the most experienced players in the history of the sport. What made O'Driscoll so iconic wasn't just his long career, but how consistently brilliant he was throughout it. He played with intensity, intelligence, and a deep understanding of the game, always staying one step ahead of his opponents. He holds the record for the most tries scored for Ireland with 46. As a centre, he was known for his smart running lines, crisp passing, and rock-solid defence. He captained Ireland 83 times and led by example on and off the field. His leadership was central to Ireland's Grand Slam triumph in the 2009 Six Nations, their first since 1948. That tournament was a turning point for Irish rugby, and O'Driscoll was its heart and soul. One of his most famous moments came during the 2005 British and Irish Lions tour of New Zealand. Even though he was injured early in the series due to a dangerous tackle that ended his tour, his selection as captain showed how highly he was regarded by players and coaches alike. He would later return in 2009 and 2013 for further Lions tours, playing a key role in the team's performances. At club level, O'Driscoll starred for Leinster, helping them win 3 Heineken Cups and several domestic titles. He brought the same excellence to every match, whether he was playing against top international sides or local Irish rivals. Fans admired his never-give-up attitude, while opponents respected his tactical awareness and calm under pressure. Off the field, he represented the sport with class and humility. He was always focused on the team over individual glory. After retiring in 2014, he became a respected rugby pundit, continuing to give back to the sport through his insights and analysis. O'Driscoll's legacy goes beyond numbers. He made Irish rugby believe it could win on the world stage. He inspired a generation of players and fans alike. Simply put, he was a leader, a warrior, and a master of his position. His name will always be mentioned when people talk about rugby's greatest. Gareth Edwards. Gareth Edwards was more than just a brilliant scrum half. He became the face of Welsh rugby during its golden era and helped turn the game into a spectacle that thrilled fans far beyond the borders of Wales. Playing from 1967 to 1978, Edwards earned 53 caps for Wales at a time when the Five Nations Championship was incredibly competitive. What stands out even more is how often he ended those campaigns with a winner's medal. He helped Wales win the Five Nations title 7 times outright and shared it on 4 other occasions, meaning Wales finished top in 11 of his 12 seasons. That consistency and his central role in it speaks volumes. But Edwards was not just a winner, he was electric. Fast, sharp, and unbelievably alert to every movement on the field. He scored 20 tries for Wales, an outstanding number for a scrum half. He also represented the British and Irish Lions, where his performances on tours to New Zealand and South Africa earned respect from even the toughest opponents. One of his most iconic moments came in 1973 when he scored a try for the Barbarians against the All Blacks at Cardiff Arms Park. The play started deep in their own half, and after a stunning series of passes and sidesteps, Edwards finished it with a dramatic dive in the corner. Commentators still call it the greatest try ever scored. Off the field, Gareth Edwards was a calm and classy figure who led by example. He didn't shout or showboat. He earned respect through performance and humility. Even today, many experts consider him the most complete scrum half to ever play the game. He could run like a winger, pass like a fly half, and tackle like a flanker. His all-round skill level was unmatched in his generation. He was also incredibly durable, barely missing a match in over a decade. Decades after he retired, Edwards remains a symbol of excellence. In 2003, he was voted the greatest Welsh player of all time in a public poll. The International Rugby Hall of Fame and World Rugby Hall of Fame both honoured him. In truth, every young scrum half still watches his footage, hoping to learn something. That says it all. Martin Johnson was the kind of rugby player you noticed before the match even started. At 6 feet 7 inches and around 260 pounds, he towered over teammates and opponents alike, but he wasn't just big, he was smart, disciplined, and a fierce leader. Johnson played as a lock for England from 1993 to 2003, earning 84 caps. His leadership, however, is what truly set him apart. In 2003, he captained England to their only Rugby World Cup victory, defeating Australia in a dramatic final in Sydney. That match, which went to extra time, showed exactly what Johnson was all about. He never flinched, never backed down. His club career was just as impressive. He played over 300 games for Leicester Tigers, leading them to multiple English Premiership titles and back-to-back Heineken Cup victories in 2001 and 2002. Johnson was always right in the middle of the action. Whether it was a bruising maul or a pressure line-out, you could count on him to be there, making sure the team stayed focused. He also captained the British and Irish Lions twice, in 1997 and 2001, which is rare. In fact, he remains the only man to captain the Lions on 2 separate tours. That's how much trust people had in him. Johnson was not flashy or overly emotional. He didn't need to be. He led with his presence. When he walked out of the tunnel, teams knew they were in for a war. He demanded high standards and expected everyone to meet them off the pitch. He wasn't one to chase the spotlight. He let his performances do the talking, and they spoke loudly. After retiring as a player, Johnson later returned to coach England, though that part of his career didn't reach the same heights. Still, his legacy as a player remains untouched. Fans still talk about his stare-downs with referees, his thunderous tackles, and his ability to stay calm when the pressure peaked. The photo of him lifting the World Cup trophy remains one of English rugby's proudest moments. In simple terms, Martin Johnson was a captain's captain. He combined physical dominance with tactical awareness and an unmatched will to win. Every team needs a leader like that. England had theirs in Johnson. Bryan Habana. Bryan Habana will always be remembered as one of the fastest and most dangerous wingers the game has ever seen. Born in Johannesburg, he made his debut for the Springboks in 2004 and quickly became a nightmare for defenders. Across a remarkable international career that lasted until 2016, Habana earned 124 caps and scored 67 tries, which is still a record for South Africa. Only a handful of players in world rugby history have scored more. Habana's breakthrough moment came at the 2007 Rugby World Cup. He scored 8 tries during the tournament, equaling the single tournament record set by Jonah Lomu in 1999. Those tries included a double against England and a game-changing interception against Argentina in the semi-final. South Africa went on to win the tournament, and Habana was named IRB Player of the Year, a title only the very best earn. His speed was so incredible that he once famously raced a cheetah for charity. No joke. But Habana wasn't just about raw pace. He had great positioning, sharp finishing instincts, and the ability to step or swerve past multiple defenders. He was also strong in defense and regularly chased down opposition kicks. He read the game like a veteran from a young age and made countless try-saving tackles. He was just as dependable off the ball as he was when sprinting down the wing. Over the years, Habana became a key figure in a Springbok team that stayed competitive through several World Cups. He equaled Lomu's all-time record of 15 World Cup tries during the 2015 edition. He also starred in South Africa's series wins, Tri-Nations campaigns, and many tight encounters against New Zealand and Australia. Club-wise, he played for the Bulls in Super Rugby before later moving to Toulon in France, where he won the Heineken Cup and Top 14. What made him truly iconic was his humility and work ethic. Despite being a superstar, Habana remained approachable and dedicated. He trained hard, stayed grounded, and always put the team first. He wasn't just a player, he became a role model. Even now, when young players talk about who they wanted to be like, Habana's name still comes up. That tells you everything you need to know about his legacy. Sergio Parisse. Sergio Parisse. He's one of those players who never needed a World Cup trophy or a Six Nations title to prove just how good he was. He played 142 test matches for Italy, which makes him the most capped Italian rugby player in history. That number alone speaks volumes about his longevity, consistency, and dedication to the national team. What's even more impressive is that he captained Italy for most of those matches, leading the Azzurri through some of the toughest eras in their rugby history with complete professionalism. Parisse made his international debut in 2002 at just 18 years old against New Zealand, facing the All Blacks that young would be a nightmare for most players, but Parisse took it in stride. From then on, he became a regular figure in Italy's squad, always stepping up as the key man, regardless of how strong or weak the team around him was. And while Italy often struggled in the Six Nations, Parisse's performances consistently stood out. He carried the team on his back year after year, and no matter the result, he always played like it was a World Cup final. He played in 5 Rugby World Cups between 2003 and 2019, which in itself is a rare achievement. In fact, only a few players in history have managed to feature in 5 editions of the tournament, but Parisse didn't just show up, he performed. Whether it was his tireless work at the breakdown, his offloading in open play, or the clever way he read the game, Parisse delivered world-class moments in almost every match he played. What made him truly unique was his complete skill set. As a number 8, he was strong in the scrum and dominant at the base, but he also had the soft hands of a fly half. His passing game was equally exceptional for a forward. He could flick offloads out of tackles, throw cutout passes, and even kick when needed. Simply put, he played like a back trapped in a forward's body. At 6'5" and over 110 kilograms, he had the physical power, but it was his rugby brain that set him apart from other number 8s. He saw things before they happened and always made the smart choice on the field. Parisse spent most of his club career in France, where he starred for Stade Francais and later Toulon. At Stade Francais, he helped the club win the top 14 title in 2007 and again in 2015. His performances in French rugby only enhanced his global reputation, and he quickly became a fan favourite, not just in Italy but all over Europe. Players, coaches, and fans from other nations regularly praised his ability and character, even when Italy failed to win matches. That says everything about how respected he was. He also had the leadership qualities every team craves. Parisse led by example, never took a backward step, and was never afraid to hold teammates accountable. He expected high standards and pushed those around him to meet them. Despite Italy's losses, he never looked defeated. That unshakable pride and commitment made him a symbol of Italian rugby. It's unfortunate that his planned farewell match at the 2019 World Cup was cancelled due to Typhoon Hagibis. He never got the proper send-off he deserved on the world stage. Still, no cancelled match can take away from what he achieved. Over 20 years at the top level, 142 caps, 5 World Cups, club titles, and the admiration of the rugby world. That's what Sergio Parisse will always be remembered for. He is without doubt one of the most iconic rugby players the sport has ever seen. So guys, are there any other iconic rugby union players you expected to see in this video? Drop their names in the comments below and maybe we'll cover them in a second part. If you enjoyed this, there's plenty more rugby videos in the works. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.